Super Rugby round number 12. Man, this competition is kind of flying by. I guess in a World Cup year without any breaks. Yeah, we're already a good way through the season. Not that many teams standing up to be counted at this point. I will touch on that when we look at where some of these teams are ranked so far. But the Crusaders, definitely the top dog, very much favourites thus far. And the Sunwolves are very much at the opposite end. Everyone else is still in it to win it, I suppose, if they can get past the Crusaders, that is. But yeah, two games: Crusaders Sharks and Reds Sunwolves. We will start with Crusaders Sharks. Top of the log, the Crusaders, 8 wins, 1 draw, which was that cancelled game, and 1 loss against the Sharks, who are 5 wins and 5 losses. Interestingly, the Crusaders are obviously top of the entire thing, New Zealand Conference, and the top of the table generally. But the Sharks are 3rd overall on points, and I think top of the South African Conference, so they are 2nd at the moment with the conference system the way it is, above the Hurricanes, who are the 2nd best New Zealand team. The fact that a team with 5 wins and 5 losses can be the top of their conference and 3rd overall really speaks to the way Super Rugby is this year. I mean, you look at the Reds, who are 4 wins and 5 losses. They're 13th overall in points. 13th. That's crazy. There's only 1 win difference, but that's the year we're having. So yeah, Sharks, that team at the moment who are playing so much better away from home. Here's hoping they can carry some of that away form and give us a good game. The Lions against the Crusaders last week in Christchurch were pretty good at times. Their defence was able to hold, but the Crusaders were just too good. So we'll see if the Sharks are able to show that same kind of fighting spirit and maybe even get a bit closer. We will see. The Crusaders have made a raft of changes. They've had to rest some of their All Blacks, so Ryan Crotty, Richie Mo'unga, David Havili, these guys were all rested in the back. Sam Whitelock in the forwards also being rested. He's just signed a new contract to stay in New Zealand for an extended period with a bit of a trip to Japan involved there as well. Outside the World Cup, that is, playing in the top league. So, yeah, you would think perhaps the Crusaders are there for the taking, but you look at some of the guys they brought in. You take out Sam Whitelock and you add Scott Barrett. You're not losing a whole lot there. Will Jordan's come in for Havili at 15. Again, you're not losing a whole lot. Mitch Hunt is still very much a useful number 10, so he's no way near as flashy as Richie Mo'unga, but he's still going to run that back line. It wasn't him that started when the Crusaders lost to the Waratahs. I think it was Brett Cameron, so Brett Cameron is on the bench for this one. Jack Goodhue comes in for Ryan Crotty, so again, you might look at this as an opportunity for the Crusaders to be kind of taken by surprise, but nah, man. That's still a lot of depth that they've brought in. Jordan Taufua also gets a start this week. Matt Todd's coming to the side. He's captain. Kieran Reid, I think, is playing his 150th game, so kudos to him. Interesting, it's going to be to see Goodhue at 12 with Enor at 13 in that midfield. We will see how they go. Enor is perhaps a bolter for that All Blacks conversation for their midfield. I guess we will see. He has been in top form. For the Sharks, kind of minimal changes, I guess, from a team that got a good away win over the Tars last week. Although not that convincing a win for a team which was a man down for 2 men down at some points, but a man down for much of the game. The only changes they've made is Schroeder comes in at number 9 from the bench, and he is captain. Ruan Bota comes in at lock again from the bench. And Oosthuizen comes in from the bench too. Thomas Dutoy is still starting, but he's switching from tight head to loose head, so we'll see how he adapts there. There's no Mtawera this week. He seems to be being arrested. They're still going with Bosch at number 10 ahead of Robert Duprea, so perhaps it's kind of reward for some winning ways for Kuan Bosch. Man, it's getting dark. Hold on a second. It's a bit better, but it's still getting pretty dark. It's, yeah, definitely kind of rugby weather at the moment here in New Zealand. It is taking a bit of a cold snap. But yeah, it's still a pretty impressive looking Sharks team. The other two Duprea brothers are playing at 7 and 8, same as last week. Esterhuizen and Arm, so that's a Springbok midfield. It's a pretty strong looking side. Interestingly, when you look at the stats of these teams, the Crusaders are, unsurprisingly, the top try-scoring team in Super Rugby. They average 5 tries a game. And they're coming up against the Sharks, who are the team who concede the fewest tries of any team in Super Rugby. The Sharks concede 2.2 tries a game. So I guess that's an interesting one to see which one wins out there. I suppose if you compare the other stats, so how many tries did the Sharks score? 3. How many tries did the Crusaders concede? Only 2.4. I think they're second place behind the Sharks. So by that, you would definitely give the edge to the Crusaders. Yeah, not surprisingly. The bookies have got them by a whopping 21 points. All of us neutrals will hope it's a wee bit closer than that. But yeah, I guess we will see how that goes. Yeah, helicopter flying over my house. Next is the Sunwolves travelling. Helicopter's going to land on my house at any moment, apparently. Sunwolves travelling to Queensland. As good as the Crusaders are, the Sunwolves are right at the other end of the table because they have only got 2 wins. It's the fewest of any team in Super Rugby, so 8 losses. It's not been great. As I said, the Reds in 13th overall. I think it's 4th in the Australian Conference, 4th or 3rd. 4 wins and 5 losses, so no, it must be 4th. So yeah, there's a fair bit to play for this one. The Reds need to get back into that conversation. Nobody's that far off the pace, given the gap between the Sharks in 3rd and the Reds in 13th. They're just that one difference. So there's not that much separating anyone apart from the Sunwolves for a playoff spot. So absolute must win for the Reds. They coming off the bye, so they should be pretty well rested and looking to do a job over the Sunwolves. They've kept things fairly steady from what I can see. So Hamish Stewart's still at fullback. Hegarty continues at 10. McDermott's at 9. Higginbotham's at number 8. Liam Wright, Angus Scott Young. Salakai Loto is in the second row alongside Rodder. Tupou Murphy and Harry Hooper in the front row. So that'll be an area they're looking to dominate. It's where the Highlanders got a lot of pay last week. So the Reds perhaps even more known for that kind of play. Karevi is captain at 12 this week. Faiawai Satia fit and at 13. So yeah, it is a pretty strong. That's one of the strongest lineups that the Reds have fielded this year. So we'll see if they're able to do a job here. The Sunwolves have made a few changes from that team, which got embarrassed against the Highlanders last week in Tokyo. So Yamanaka and Van den Hever are still at fullback and right wing. Emery comes in at 13. Burley is in at 12. Shigeno is in at number 9. Vosiatho, interestingly, is back to being a back rower rather than midfielder for this one. Kara Pryor and Hendrik Tui are there as well, so it's an entire back row change for the Sunwolves. Hutting has moved in to the second row from the back row, and Horier, who was super in a really poor Sunwolves team last week, he gets to start at 2, so that's good news. And Mikami is at loose head, so yeah, they're coming off a pretty terrible loss, and the Reds are coming off a bye, so in theory you would think absolute Reds blowout here. The Reds have still got a wee bit of that which team is going to turn up about them, but it's getting better than it was last year, so should be a comfortable win. The bookies have only got them by 10. But again, looking into the stats, if you believe it or not, the Reds, and a lot of this will be Samu Karevi, are the number 1 team for busting tackles in Super Rugby. They average 27.8 busted tackles per game. The Sunwolves are down in 7th with 21.6. But for missed tackles, it's the Sunwolves who rule the roost at, it's not a good thing, but they're the number 1 team for missing tackles, so it's a negative stat. 28.8 tackles they missed. The Reds are 6th in 22.7. So it's the team who busts the most tackles against the team who misses the most tackles. Again, in theory, that should be the Reds all day long. Can you see the Sunwolves getting an upset here? Not on current form, but in Super Rugby this year, kind of anything goes. So we will see. If both away teams were to get a win here, that would be something of a small miracle. But hey, I guess we will see what happens. The top team's hosting a game and the bottom team is away. For them to get a win, them to get a loss. Not picking that in my Super Brew, that is for sure. So, yeah, those are the 2 games. You guys let me know your thoughts on how these games are going to go. Crusaders, as I said, with a few changes. Do you think that'll affect their play, or do you think they've got the depth to just kind of keep on keeping on? And a fairly consistent red side against a much changed Sunwolves side. How do you think that one's going to go? You guys let me know your thoughts, and I will talk to you again soon. See you later.